How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to ReWrite. So last time we've been continuing the story of Terra, which ultimately has been the retelling of Kotoru's story and the missing years. The years that we kind of got little hints to along the way, but kind of became pretty obvious had been missing. And I'm really starting to think that there also is a time skip that happened here. I'm not sure the nature of the time skip. Like, did he seemingly stop aging? Did he literally go into like a coma state? Or am I completely missing the mark? I have no idea. But I feel like, for one thing, Kotori and Akane, they were like way too young compared to how old he's being kind of depicted. Like, it's also difficult though because I don't know exactly what age he's supposed to be at most of this. It's not like it's directly stating it, but it's kind of implying that they're significantly younger, which again kind of threw me for a loop because he's at school with them, like in the same grade. So I always assumed that like he was missing some time, but I always thought it was just memories. It feels like he's missing memories and actual physical time in a way. So we're going to have to see how that really plays out. But it also kind of goes back to the idea, like, remember when he manifests on, like, the moon section and he brought the ORS members in, he was like, it's weird. Why am I manifesting as an older? Like he's like, maybe that's because with Akane's, like, when I was in some of the Akane route, like, I had aged up and I had strong memories and connections at that time. But maybe that was a kind of a clue to something else going on. So I'm guessing we're going to learn a little bit more. Again, it's cool to see how he kind of was already getting partially involved in interacting with both Guardian and Gaia, but how both groups also seem to be a bit distant from him. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen, but we're going to be gradually getting to whatever, like, the incident was in the forest. Excuse me. Anyway, just having one of those moments. I don't know what, like, sometimes I have to squeeze these recordings in, like, kind of just when I can, and that can sometimes mean I'm a little bit on the tired side. So, unfortunately, that's kind of what's happening here. I'm recording at a bit of an awkward time, but it's okay. I'm very excited to be able to continue on, and I'm gonna wake up. So, let's get started. A little while after the incident, the environment surrounding me had changed drastically, which is really just a fancy way of saying I moved up in school. I began skipping out of meetings much more frequently, especially whenever my parents weren't around. The two were often not home because of their work. Whenever they were out, I would go to the meetings by myself. Someone also kind of pointed out last episode that it's very clearly painting a picture of how, like, his parents were a lot more involved, but as he started, like, drifting away from the Mattel group, they seemed to just kind of disown him, essentially. They drifted from him, which is really sad. Because, like, I always chalked it up to the whole, like, main character syndrome, where the parents just conveniently aren't around, because it makes it harder to have a story, like an adventure story, if parents are involved and worried about their children. So usually it's just kind of like a given that the parents aren't involved. And usually they don't even bother to explain it. It's just like, oh, they're just not here. But here it's like, oh, there's an explanation. They kind of hated their kid, and that sucks because that's a really crappy thing to do. The plan was not to leave at the drop of a hat, but to gradually drift away. I'm so clever, right? Eventually, this will explode into a big argument with my parents, so this will help prepare myself emotionally. Except, on the rare occasion I do show up, the professor calls me over. I go into the guest room as instructed. Someone is inside.
Tennouji no bozu toいうのは
Oh,
お前ね
is this Sakura? Whoa, we've never seen her before. Like, I know we've, like, seen people interacting with her, but I don't think we've ever seen her before. Interesting. Wow, look at that. It's an older lady. She's tall and wears expensive-looking Western-style clothes. I know her. Well, anyone would, really. She is Martel's spiritual pillar, Kashima Sakura. Being a charismatic figure of the group, the more fervent followers even refer to her as the Holy Woman. She should already be well over 70 years old, but she's still full of life. I sit across from her, a desk separating us. Atop the desk lie several documents facing my direction.
誰かと打ち合わせでもしてたのか?
I skim through the documents, but nothing particularly grabs my attention. There are papers about foreign civil wars, drug trafficking busts, stuff like that. The only thing that seems marginally interesting is a newspaper clipping from over a decade ago. Though unofficial, a runner was able to shave off a whole minute from a world record time for a 1,000-meter race, or so the article says. It's nothing but a silly piece of fluff. In fact, the clipping even points out the possibility of cheating. Something is nagging at me, though. Yeah, is that about you? Because, I feel like you did something like that, where you ran a little too fast one time?
もし俺がそう強く念じ続けたとしたら。
It's definitely within the realm of possibility. When I look up, I see Kashima Sakura observing me. Observing being the key word. It's as if she was checking which article I was directing my attention to.
鹿島さくらというものよ。知っていて？
はい。
お前の両親から息子と話してくれと頼まれたのよ。
Oh, I'm sure they did.
うちの親から。
何度か仕事を任せたことがあるのよ。その頼みとあれば、そう無下にはできないものよ。
はあ。ミーティングを休んでることですか？
それはさほど重要ではないわ。そうね。学校は楽しい？
Interesting. I wonder if this is her version of the same kind of test that Akane gave, where it's like, with the different, like, articles, she's kind of, like it said she was observing, but, like, I wonder if it's a sifting process that's similar to that question, which is supposed to be, like, how do you tackle, like, the challenges that the world faces?
学校で。
友達はいるの？授業にはついていけて。
All of Kashimi Sakura's topics are about harmless, everyday things. Though hesitant, I go along with her conversation.
なんだ？どういうんだこの人。
Nothing but small talk. However, as time passes, I notice something's off. It feels as if she's driving me into a corner. There are certain keywords in her phrasing that catch my attention. Monsters, hunting, night, forest, power no human could possess. The words would get mixed into the conversation or find their way into figures of speech. At first, I waved them off, but before I know it, I begin feeling suffocated. It's not even hot, but I'm sweating, my breathing growing rapid and shallow. I try to calm myself down, but I can't. The more I pay attention to it, the more unnatural it seems.
俺は探られてるのか?
Yes, you might be, like, watching for your reactions that you're giving her. Superhumans, unfathomable power, secrets, transcendence, human instinct. She isn't saying these words pertaining to me specifically. However, her phrasing is full of words that I can't just write off as coincidence. Does Kasumi Sakura know about what I was doing in the forest? I grow apprehensive of that possibility. The forest, hunting monsters. Did my face twitch at the moment of the mention of those words? Did I reveal any information to her through my subconscious reactions? Was I able to keep my secrets? I mean, if the monster, the familiar he ran into in the forest was hers, there's a good chance that she was able to somewhat recognize him. After 15 minutes have passed since she started giving me the third degree, Kasumi Sakura leans back, relaxing in her chair.
だいたいわかったわ。悩み多き年頃ね、小太郎。
はあ。
有用な助言を与えたいとは思うけど、年の差があるとなかなか難しいものね。
Huh. Interesting.
教えてちょうだい。納得できないことにぶち当たったとき、お前はいつもどうしているの？
See, that is a bit of the same question.
どうとは？
努力して自分を変えるとか、周囲に働きかけて環境を改善するとか、いろいろあるはずよ。
That is the question. There it is.
俺は。
I try to answer, but then it hits me. Should I take her question lightly? Have I let my guard down from her earlier demeanor? Am I playing right into her hands here? I need to give this some good thought before I answer. Do I change myself or improve my environment? I like how it's like acting like it's a choice, but it's clearly not a choice. Eva's got that cool flashy fire. Let's go with I don't know.
さあ、考えたことないです。
It is true though. Changing either myself or what's around me. It's something I deal with on a case-to-case basis. At least that's what I think for now. In that sense, I think it's a pretty honest answer. Kashumi Sakura narrows her eyes.
お前はマーテルの活動にあまり積極的ではないよね。
I mean, we established that at the beginning. Why are you bringing this up again?
さあ、わからないです。親に連れてこられただけなんで。
この会のことをどれだけ理解しているの？
マーテルは科学団体で。
一般論ではないわ。お前の感じるところのマーテルの精髄を語れと言っているの。
Interesting. It feels like when it comes to the Gaia and Guardian, he's dancing on the edge, but they're not like... I don't know, maybe they just don't see enough potential in him to truly try and rope him in. But they do subtly try to like kind of sink their teeth in.
精髄？
わからない？
さっきから意味がわかりません。
世界はお前が認識しているより深く、そのことを感じたことさえない？そう、どうやら野良なのね。
野良？
ここまでにしましょう。
She shifts her gaze to the door, gesturing that I may take my leave. I'm finally free. I leave the room, half in disbelief. That's troubling. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm glad you at least recognize that much. There's definitely a big secret within Kazamatsuri. And there are people who know everything. I might not be able to stay in the city anymore. Such anxious thoughts cross my mind. He's literally like thinking of running away after that. That's kind of scary. I'm here at a fancy cafe, dining in the open air. Two men are sitting across from each other. Both of them have grave, tense expressions. A tension wafts in the air like two martial artists about to fight.
では。はい。
They bring their forks to their mouths at the same time. It's a tart today. Specifically, tartelette au chocolat. I have no idea. That's because I spring to life.
これは、江坂さん？
なんということだ。
In a low, trembling voice, he calls out to the waiter.
責任者を呼べ。
はい、ただいま。
店長の小塚でございます。お客様、何か問題でも。
I'm glad that we get some goofiness still. Like, it's been very serious so far, but I like how we're getting some goofiness still.
問題があったかったと？
He glares at the manager with a terrifying intensity.
あるものか。素晴らしい味だ。
ありがとうございます。
クレームシャンティで出されるものと似ているようだ。
The manager's expression changes from one of abject terror to a different sort of surprise.
よくお気づきで。当店の菓子職人は以前シャンティに在籍しておりまして。
食感も焼き加減も申し分ない。道理でシャンティの味が落ちるはずだな。
申し訳ございません。
この味なら帳消しだ。ひいきにさせてもらうぞ。
ありがとうございます。
I've already gotten used to these vexing back and forths.
マジうまっすね、これ。
It's nice you can still have fun. This is where we normally part ways, but Esaka seems different today.
今日はもう少し良いかね。
はい、構わないっすよ。
I'm just gonna nuke something in the microwave for dinner anyway. We chat as we walk around the station's vicinity.
いつも中年の道楽に付き合わせてすまない。
いや、いつもおごってもらってありがたいっす。それに俺、いつでも暇なんで。
市内の有名店はこれで制覇したことになる。
もう一巡してくれてもいいくらいです。付き合います。
悪くはない提案だが、今はやめておこう。ちょうど良い頃合いかもしれんからな。
Oh?
何の利害関係もない友人というのは貴重なものだからな。
そうですね。打算の友達って虚しいです。
同感だ。 だから、一巡するまでは、せめて友でいようと思っていた。
That's sad. He's saying it's nice having a friend who like doesn't have ulterior motives. So before I destroyed that friendship and start bringing into ulterior motives into this, I wanted to at least have one last little hurrah. That's kind of sad.
だがそれも、今日で終わりかもしれん。
For a while, the meaning of those words evades me.
俺たち、ここまでってことですか？
どうかな。それはわからん。
俺、なんかミスしました？江坂さんを失望させましたか？
いいや、そうではない。
じゃあどうして？
I'm so lost. It seems like he's about to cut ties with me. He's like, yeah, it's like a friend breakup. But like, why?
天王寺君、
Esaka straightens up and speaks to me with a strong gaze.
私は君を。
I return home feeling restless. I feel like I'm walking in a different world. It's Esaka who made me feel like this.
でも俺、まだ親の保護の下にあんのに。
Oh, did he
あんな話。
did he offer him like a position in one of Guardian's schools? One of their little training programs.
その件は何とかしよ
The core of my head is still hot. It's never been this hot my entire life. Thinking hard about it, that's what Esaka told me.
もし俺があの話を受けたら、江坂さんとは友達ではなくなる。
Instead, we'll have a different relationship, or so he said.
天王寺君、私は君を。君は我々の組織に来るべきだ。超人である君は。
Just calling him out. Dang. Night. I had an argument with my parents. Martel was the reason. I told them again how I wanted to leave the group. Asaka's proposal did encourage me, but I wanted to leave either way. Our arrangement continued late into the night. Our argument, not arrangement. This was bound to happen sooner or later. The sparks had been smoldering for quite a while now. I don't feel like sleeping at all. With my back lying down on the bed, the time just passes by. Eventually, I managed to gather my thoughts. Or perhaps I should say I strengthened my resolve. No matter how hard I think, I can't see any other possible options ahead of me. The possibility of consulting with my parents has already been cut off. I don't have any friends who I can speak with about it either. That leaves me with no other option. That's actually the kind of scary thing. Like, this is how, like, cults and far, like, I guess, extremist groups, like, really operate. Or cults, they prey on people who feel vulnerable, who feel isolated, who feel like they're lacking a purpose. Like, Martel and Guardian are both pretty guilty of this. They use these very kind of terrifying tactics. Now, it also falls in line with the types of personalities that people like who are more likely to be superhuman or summoner potential, is that it also correlates with people who have feelings of isolation. And then they can hijack that and kind of funnel it through education. It's scary. Scary stuff because it happens so much in the real world, but without the superpowers. It's the middle of the night, but I have no doubt he'll accept. I want to say it now. I want to make the decision this very moment. I dial the number registered on my phone. He picks up after just one ring.
私だ。
家を出たいと思ってるんです。
This is when the turbulent times of my life began. At the break of dawn, I leave home. I don't say any goodbyes, nor do I leave anything behind for them. I simply disappear. As Esaka promised me he would deal with the aftermath. School, Martel, my family, everything. Given my age, everything I'm doing is absolutely insane. While I troubled myself over these worries, Esaka told me this.
君の言う通り、単なる子供の家出であれば、私は手伝わない。
Yeah.
だが、今回の提案を受け入れるのならば、私は君を大人の男とみなす。覚悟しておけ。辛いのはこれからだ。
I don't care if things get tough. This time I believed I would become a real somebody somewhere. That hope brings the spring to my step. There's a car parked in front of the Kanabe's house. Its engine's running, seems like they're going somewhere. So early in the morning.
やあ、おはよ
おはようございます。
ずいぶん早くにどうなさったの？
いえ、ちょっと部活の朝練で。
う。部活をしていたんだ。
Oh,
何部？
you shouldn't have come up with that story.
卓球部。
I often make this kind of careless mistake when I have to fabricate a lie on the spot.
サッカー？野球？
サッカー部です。
頑張ってくださいね。
はい。家族旅行。
そうなんだ。娘も一緒に。
Oh, it's that trip, is it? Oh, man. Kanabe Kotori is in the back seat with her head down. She seems dejected. She probably still hasn't gotten over Pero's death. So they're going on a trip to cheer her up, huh? Oh, wait, I can't stop them. Aww, I can't stop them. That's sad. It like implies I can, but I can't. It's like at least last time it like I didn't get a choice or even a pretend choice, but like, oh, then maybe this is part of it. Is there's a part of us, because we're like knowledgeable, we're like a part of a subconscious and knows what's about to happen here. And part of us wants to stop them, but we can't because it would destroy or deviate the timeline, the path that we found to the future that might result in humanity's surviving. Maybe that's what this is. Aw, that's sad. I have to stop them. Though I don't have any reason, that's what I'm feeling.
旅行ってどうしても行かないといけないんですか？
どうして？
理由はうまく説明できないんですけど、というか、止める理由なんてないですよね。
多分ね。
ですよね。
Of course I can't stop them. Why did the thought even occur to me in the first place? I greet Kotori.
なあ。
After knocking on the car window, the glass slowly lowers down.
何？
お前の生き方、参考になった。そのことだけ礼を言っとく。
突然何？
そんだけだよ。じゃあな。
待って。
She tugs on my sleeve.
どこ行くの？
Aww.
卓球部の朝練。サッカーを足じゃなくてバットでやる新スポーツだ。
嘘だね。戻ってくるの？
Sharp girl, this one. She might just be a brat, but she can be a real nuisance. All the more reason why I can't tell her the truth.
俺もマーテルを辞めることにしたんだ。でも、親は許してくれなかったんで。
This time I managed to come up with a good lie.
そうなんだ。収穫祭。
ん？
収穫祭っていうのやるんでしょ？
ああ、でかいお祭りだ。でかすぎて、どこ行っていいかわかんない。
Right?
案内してよ。
どうして俺？
友達なんていないんだから、小太郎くんが案内してよ。
Aww.
いや、その理屈がよくわからないんだが。
いいから。
強引なやつだな。わかったよ。戻ってきたら案内してやるよ。
I've learned one thing. Tell one lie and it'll quickly cascade into the next.
約束だから。破ったら針千本。
Gross.
じゃあ、そろそろ行くよ。お父さんとお母さんによろしく。
はい。気をつけてくださ
I
い。
wish you didn't have to go.
もちろんだよ。ありがとう。
The Kanabe's car starts up and drives away. Kotori is looking my way the entire time. In the end, it feels like the two of us are getting along just a little better. The moment I decide to escape, I finally made a friend. How very ironic. The organization as a whole doesn't have an official name. However, they are sometimes symbolically referred to by a title. Guardian. After leaving Kazamatsuri and crossing over several mountains, we arrive at a certain city. The streets are brimming with people. But for someone like me who grew up in Kazamatsuri, everything looks worn down. It's as if the city as a whole is weary.
これ、
Oh,
ドブの匂いですか？
oh my gosh. Like, I know that house. Are we going to meet Shizuru already? If you walked around Kazamatsuri, you'd never experience the stench of sewage wafting about. Honestly, I'm pretty freaked out.
一つ言っておくが、 今まで貴様が住んでいた町、家庭、学校、どれもひな壇の最上段にあったものだ。
Yeah, unfortunately, you lived a very, what do you call it? Entitled lifestyle.
現実とは匂うものだ。あの町に住んでいると、人はそのことを忘れてしまう。天王寺、貴様はもう風祭りを出た。このこと。
はい。
I've been pulled out of my comfort zone and into the cold harshness of reality. My new life is going to begin in this dull, sullen city. A large, dysfunctional sports stadium serves as Guardian's training facility.
案内はここまでだ。行け。話は通してある。
江坂さんは来ないんですか？
誰かに手を引かれながら兵隊をやるつもりかね。
いえ。
まずは基礎訓練を受けて半人前になれ。今の貴様はそれ以下だ。
Right. Esaka leaves without even giving a proper goodbye. I'm stunned. He said it would be rough, but I didn't expect it to be this kind of rough. I give myself a couple slaps on the cheeks. Can't lose heart now. There isn't anyone at the reception desk. I suppose that's expected since it's not a business. I knock on the admin officer's door and explain everything to the lady. The first training room I'm led to already has a few dozen other boys and girls working out on their own. And by boys and girls, I'd say they're pretty much my age. There are a few others in their 20s and 30s, but those are rare.
全員、俺と同類だってのか。
Those who have monstrous powers that can't live a proper life. Esaka said I'm one of those. That I'm one of many others. With these companions, maybe I could lead a proper life. The room I'm given in the dorm is a shared room of about 9 square meters. It's a sparsely furnished room with only a bunk bed and a small shelf. It's good for resting and nothing else. I need to be strong. I can't keep getting shocked at every little thing. Apparently, whoever's in charge is currently out and will be back by evening. I might as well just lie down around in bed and wait, or so the old me would have thought. I'm glad he's a little more motivated. I change into a t-shirt, tracksuit, and head into the training room. Everyone's just working out in silence. The only ones having a pleasant chat while using the machines are those older than 20. It looks like they know each other. Those in their teens are quietly doing push-ups on their own or running on indoor course. Not a bad atmosphere at all. After warming up, I start running. Evening comes. After finishing their training, most everyone's just standing by in the hall.
こいつら、全員半端じゃない体力だ。
Almost no one here has any less stamina than I do. And it's not just endurance either.
あれをやるか。
It feels like I should start bulking up as soon as I can. It's like, I might have to try here. I technically don't even need to train. As long as I wished for it, it will come true. As long as I press down on the accelerator, I can go as fast as I want. Up until now, I just kept my foot on the brake so I could keep in line with society. But now, I don't need to anymore. If this is just going to slow me down, then I might as well.
いや、まだ様子見だ。
In the first place, I don't even know what kind of superpowers I have. From what Esaka told me, most of the superhumans who join Guardian have some sort of special ability. I glance around my surroundings at my companions.
あいつ、中学の時の。
We never spoke before, but I recognize him. He was from my classroom before mine and often came over to my class to hang out. Old acquaintances are a pain. Hopefully he isn't looking this way. The atmosphere of the hall completely changes.
集合!
As the crowd rushes over to the instructor.
清水だ。ここの責任者をしている。我々の組織について知っている者もいれば、
Okay, so this is
よく知らぬ者もいるだろう。
This is like the new recruits.
そのあたりはおいおいと理解を深めていってもらうことになるが、組織の性質上、情報は厳しく制限されている。よって内情の提示は、訓練の進捗状況並びに、基準の深度に応じて個別に行う。
Okay.
当施設で諸君は、基礎訓練と並行して、狩猟技能と呼ばれる固有技術の習得を目指す。すでに聞いているとは思うが、過酷な仕事だ。死者も出る。
You may just die. Fetch me.
我々の仕事は あらゆる国家、法、倫理から逸脱したものであることを心に留めるように。一般社会では決して全力を発揮することは許されなかった諸君だが、ここでは力の限りを尽くせる。この仕事は世界平和の維持に寄与するものでもある。優れた力を持つ者はより大きな義務を持つ。
Those are great.
多くを与えられた者は多くを求められるのだ。
With great power comes great responsibility.
超人たる者にふさわしい力の使い方を学んでくれ。
超人。
That's what people like us are called. Superhumans and hunters. I recall Kasumi Sakura questioning me. Monsters, hunting, night, forest, powers no human could possess. Superhumans, unfathomable power, secrets, transcendence, hunting instincts.
このことを探られていたんだ。
She was seeing if I had any involvement with Guardian. At the time, I really had only just gotten to know Esaka. Given that, I was able to evade any unwanted reactions. Now I understand what she meant by being a stray. She must have considered me as someone outside the loop, someone unaffiliated with Guardian. So she probably recognized, hey, you've got powers, and was wondering if Guardian had snatched us up yet or not.
基礎訓練課程の説明に入る前に何か質問はあるか？
Not a single hand is raised. It takes quite a bit of courage, but I boldly raise my hand. I probably have much less information than the others.
天王寺だな。なんだ？言ってみろ。
俺たちの仕事って何ですか？
江坂さんから聞かされていないのか？
はい。
At Asaka's name, the crowd stirs. I can feel piercing gazes digging into me.
なんだこの感じ。
いくつかある。最もわかりやすいものは、魔物の存在を世間から隠蔽し、駆除することだ。こちらの調査によると、お前は私的に魔物狩りをしていたそうだが。
はい。
So they were looking into me.
原則、そのようなものと考えてよい。これ以上は話さん。他に質問がなければ、今後の具体的な予定について説明する。
Interesting. I like how they were aware. Like, this has been a theme of like the whole game where you're like, oh, we're operating in secret. Nobody knows. But then it's like, oh no, actually, when it comes to people in the know, everyone knows. Our training begins. First, we had several weeks of basic training. Stuff like physical training, practical skills, lessons to go with it. We got up at 5 in the morning, went back to bed at 9 in the evening. The first 2 weeks, we did nothing but march. Carrying rucksacks filled with weights, we would march through mountains and forests from morning to evening. We started out with 15 kilograms of weight, and every day they would add 5 more kilos. They said traveling long distance with heavy equipment is a form of training. We would have to cover 60 kilometers with 80 kilos of weight strapped on, all within 12 hours. What really shocked me was that this was considered the bare minimum. The training was so rough I was pretty much throwing up every time. Along with that, we had to learn the map reading and navigation skills. That much would let us go wherever orders would take us at the very least. Next, we learned about combat. We received close quarters training with bare hands, everyday items, and tools like fire axes and long poles. So yet, ironically, this reminds me of scouting, although freakishly less intense. But being able to have a pack and walk long distances, we did that. Reading maps and navigation skills, definitely learned that. That's an art that's probably getting lost with so much easy, readily acquired GPS. Like actually reading a map, both like a topographical and a landmark map, could be very. I imagine that's becoming a lost art. And then, just combat. Yeah, didn't really do that. We also learned knife techniques, how to handle actual combat knives, but only as an aside. Guns weren't even part of our curriculum. It's because Japan's gun control laws make it difficult to carry a firearm. As for our enemies, the team practiced both the term pertains both to familiars and humans. Rather than killing familiars, finding and taking down the summoner who controlled them would be much easier. Through the training, I become aware of the possibility that I might eventually have to kill someone. The lectures we were given on the familiars were especially interesting. We learned that for every familiar, there's a corresponding user. That means that every one of the familiars I killed had someone controlling it. Those users are called summoners. They create and control those familiars. That group of people is symbolized by the name Gaia. Guardian and Gaia are at odds with each other. Using these familiars, they conduct assassinations and even cause revolutions. Guardian exists as a deterrent to such a threat. Since the age of legend, it has been the hero's duty to defeat the demons. The same applies even now. They just do it under the veil of secrecy, unseen by others. Monsters and superhumans, these things that shouldn't be public knowledge. Hunting familiars. It's also a confrontation against the will of those lurking behind them. It is a fight of man versus man. It's a conflict, not of nation against nation, but ideology against ideology.
思ったほど単純なことじゃないぞ。
I prepared myself. Still, my heart's wavering just a little bit.
よう勇者先生
Hey, Imamiya. I thought the name was familiar, but now I know who it is.
今宮。
During our break in training, Imamiya speaks to me all friendly like. Just as I recognized him, it seems he also recognized me. Neither of us is even remotely close, but now he's talking to me like we're close friends. But his smile, it looks fabricated. Even a few days in, I still can't get used to it.
その勇者ってのやめてくれよ。
だって実戦経験者なわけじゃん。リスペクトするしかねえ。人知れず魔物狩りしてたって正直少し引くけどね。まあ事情あったんだろ。深入りしねえし安心してくれ。ちなみに俺と天王寺くんは仮チームメイトね。
そうなったか。
マジで期待させてもらうわ。正直三國みてえな化け物と張れる気しねえからな。
Mikuni. He's another one in our group. Wait, is this a competition now? Normally, Guardians operates in teams. Apart from some very specific circumstances, you don't work solo. It would be best to have teammates with similar levels of endurance. That's why those of similar levels tend to get grouped together. Honestly, I don't feel confident working together with Mikuni. Imamiya probably feels the same.
でもそこは天王寺くんがうまくやってくれればさ。なあ。
Yeah, he's definitely a little strange.
一応上も相性ってもんも見てはくれるはずだし、正式編成でも同じチームになりたいよね。
I see. This guy thinks I'm some kind of veteran who can actually go toe-to-toe with Mikuni.
俺はそこまで強くないって。
またご謙遜を。みんな噂してるし、あの三國だって警戒してるっぽい。
Definitely some unsolicited pressure right there. Nothing good comes from having the bar raised higher.
そんな噂になるようなことか？
組織でもお前のことはずっとマークしてたってよ。
そういうことか。
It's like, gosh darn it. That's why they saved me at the time. And even Kashimi Sakura over at the Martel started probing me too. Oh, interesting. So they saved him because they were keeping tabs on him. But I also wonder if Gaia was also keeping tabs and maybe they sent that monster to try and take him out. Both groups already had me marked. I'm standing in the middle of a really dangerous bridge right now.
なあ、個人的な疑問なんだけどさ、どうして個人で魔物狩りなんてやってたんだ？あれか？昔彼女でも殺されたとか。
Sheesh, dude, calm down.
いや、そんなんじゃうまく説明できない。
Honestly, I'm still embarrassed at myself even now.
なあ、天王寺くんって能力の目覚めいつだった？
そっちは？
俺は進学してからすぐのスポーツテストでやばい数字が出て、やけに調子いいなって思ってたらパワーもスピードもセンスも倍化してて、
Oh, dang.
調子乗りそうになってたところで家に黒服が来てジ・エンド。
黒服？ MIB？
何 MIB って？
メインインブラックっつって。いや、悪い、続けてくれ。
そいつらが親のこととかこれからのこととか全部段取っててさ、親はスポーツ特待生で遠くの学校に通ってるって思い込んでるよ。
へえ、そういうので子供持っていくんだな。
まあ大学まで続けて結局実らず現地就職ってシナリオだけどな。途中で死んだら自己死、そういう手続きになってる。
It's crazy that he can be so casual about them. Like, and if I die, you know, like they've got a backup story.
すごいんだな。
みんな似たようなもんでしょう。天王寺くんは違うかもしれんけど、本当は江坂さんのこととか聞きたいけど、どうせ話しちゃいけないんでしょ？
いや、 俺マジでそのあたり知らなくて。
いいよいいよ。一応軍隊だもんなここ。
The military. This is awfully different from the familiar hunting that I'd imagined. I'm second guessing myself, wondering if I really made the right choice. Can I really adapt to a military lifestyle?
でそっちの覚醒はいつ？これは機密じゃねえはず。
俺は多分子供の頃。
ジュニア時代からのジーニアスっぷり。神の子かおめえは。
悪い、自慢のつもりじゃ。
いやマジで怒ってるわけじゃないって。俺基本ふざけるんでいちいち本気で取らないで。
I'm glad that we have your permission to not be able to trust or understand anything you're saying.
ただマジですげえよそれは。俺なんか部活でうまくいかなくてイライラして覚醒だからな。かっこつかねえ。
そういうきっかけがいるんだ。
それが一番多いパターンよ。ま俺もまだ詳しかないけどね。抑圧を受けていることがきっかけになるって。
People are born with certain temperaments. I suppose being a superhuman or a summoner is part of that.
まあ天王寺くんが外向きの性格だって分かって安心したよ。そんなら絶対気もあったはずだし、もっと前から声かけときゃよかったよ。つかどうして学校で一人でいたわけ？
どうしてって自然にだけど。
That's your question. Like, why were you a loner? I don't know. It's not like I was planning on that.
俺が外向きの性格って。悪い、今ちょっと話ついていけなかった。どうしてそう思った？
な、超人って基本性格出んのよ。傲慢になるっていうか自信ありげっていうか態度に出ないでプライド高いやつも中にはいるけど、もともとそういうタイプだから試練が起きても自力でどうにかできるって思いが高じて、でスーパーパワー覚醒。
Okay. Now I think about it, everyone in this training facility seems to have some level of confidence. They exude this aura of being able to stay centered regardless of the environment. I would not make a good candidate for Guardian. I do not have that type of confidence. But I...
わかった。クールだけど内心熱いパターンでしょ。いいと思うよそういうの。かっけえし。俺思わずジュースとか買いに行こうか。
I would absolutely be so... I would be like, can you just go away, Mamiya? I just... Like, that personality is just so grating. And it feels so fake, too. Like, so forced.
買いに行くなよ。
Did I want to change myself? I mean, that's technically not wrong. But it doesn't feel quite right. I've always been content with the status quo. So why did these hunters' power suddenly manifest in me?
まあとにかく頑張ろうぜ。俺たちここでやってくしかねえんだから。
そうだな。
Mamiya's cheery expression suddenly turns grim.
俺らもう運動選手にもなれねえし、部活にも本気出せねえんだからさ。
My ranking, which had reached hero level, suddenly fell after the physical fitness exam. Out of 42 people, I placed 42nd. The absolute bottom of the barrel.
どうしちゃったの？やたら低いんすけど。
Mamiya 6 from the bottom, making him pretty low in the rankings as well. In the end, he and I are placed in the same team. I think it's pretty safe to say that it's just a group of rejects. Like our gold plating is suddenly peeled off.
うわー、信じらんねえ。
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Kind of gives that perspective again, though. It's like, these guys are pretty crazy.
ザコインなら鳴り物入りで登場すんなよな。くそ、別ののし上がり方考えねえと。
Imamiya showed up with baseless high hopes and got disappointed from his baseless assumption, then left. Well, that's the end of that, I suppose.
嘘つきの人、俺のダミーナイフどこ？
He's just calling him a liar now. Cool.
自分で取ってこい。
はあ？頼んどいたじゃん。
ああいうのは一方的に要求したって言うんだよ。
おいおい、何ほざいてんの？使えなさすぎんだけど。能力ねえんだから、他のことで貢献しようとか思わねえの？
Man, what a faker. Like, he was bumming up to Kotaru because he thought he was a big shot, like a big, like, oh, he's associated with Esaka. He's been hunting these like monsters like longer, like before he even got recruited here. He's gonna go far. I better make good friends with him. And then it's like, oh nope, he's literally at the bottom, so now he's just treating him like garbage. I knew I didn't like you. I ignored. There's nothing to be gained even looking at him and Mia. I knew that very well.
Oi, 聞こえてっか?
While I'm organizing the equipment to the training room, a military boot flies against the back of my head.
聞こえてるけど聞くつもりがない。
あ、何言ってんの？無視すんなよ。
自分で行け。自分の装備だろ。
人並みに意見してんなよ、バカ。一番成績低いやつが労働に励めよだと言って。
Something swung around and smacked him and me in the back of his head.
言ってよ、西九条。
Dummy knife, a hard rubber knife that we use for training. Nisikujo. Yeah? The dummy knife is what struck him on the head.
自分だって大した成績じゃないでしょ。
Look at that! Oh, wow. It's kind of cool seeing her here. And definitely younger, too. That's funny. Oh, that's so interesting. Oh, yeah. Just... The one who threw it is Nisikujo Toka, another of my teammates.
一応このチームじゃ一番なんだけどね。
ワーストチームのね。自分の装備は自分で面倒見る決まりじゃなかった？
ナイフ取ってもらうくらいいいじゃ
ん。実際に魔物と戦う時でも天王寺に武器を取ってきてもらうの？
Nisikujo is usually pretty taciturn. When she does talk, though, she's brutally honest. I guess this is just what superhuman personalities are like.
別に西九条には言ってないんだけどな。俺が文句言いたいのはこいつだけだし。
だったらちゃんと文句を言えば？建設的な文句を。聞いてたらただのパシリじゃない。学生気分引っ張りすぎ。無意味な波風立てないでほしいんだけど。
Yeah, tell him.
はいはい。そこまでかばわれたら何も言えんわな。
かばってないわよ。スキルアップしてこんなチームさっさと抜けたい。
Oh, she on our team too?
けどチームワークがズタズタだとこっちの評価も下がるじゃない。上に行かなきゃ。人生捨ててまでここに来た意味ない。
Interesting.
そうじゃないの？
So she's on our team. And that's the crazy thing. She's really strong. Like, I remember her being really strong, but she's on the bottom rung. Interesting.
俺は
行こう、長井。
Taking our fourth teammate with her, Nisikujo leaves us. What she said seems to be how she really feels. Nisikujo and the others barely speak with me. Rather, our team never makes small talk with each other. We don't have the emotional capacity for it. Interesting. I hear sounds of destruction caused by another team in the vicinity.
すいません。やっちゃいました。
A loud, lively voice echoes from above us. They blew a huge hole in the wall of the training building. Superhumans are stronger than regular humans. They're faster, hit harder, have sharper senses. However, they have their own limitations too. The large hole in the wall of the building's fourth floor is a clear representation of that.
くそ、素手であれかよ。
Imamiya clicks his tongue. Nisikujo, who's frozen in place, is silent, but she's clenching her fists so tightly her fingers are turning white. As for me, I'm not even the slightest bit surprised. It's a height I know I'll never reach. Unlike these others, I've already grown used to our status as hopeless failures. One day, Mikuni spoke to me.
君、天王寺くんだよね。
ああ、そうだけど。
話すの初めてだったよね。
ああ。
江坂さんに引っ張られてきたんだって？
そうだけど。
へえ、本当なんだ。江坂さんって君をスカウトするときどんなこと話したの？
別に普通だったけど。
普通か。
Mikuni looks perplexed.
江坂さんってすごい人じゃない？
そうなんだ。
経歴すごいよ。外国で民間警備を経験してるし、歴戦の勇士だよ。
へえ。
この世界であの人を知らない人はいないよ。伐採系超人では最強ランクじゃないかな。
Yeah, some like they're all like, so why did he pick up trash like you? With like, it is the implication. Well, he's not trash, but that's what they're gonna say.
あの人が新人をスカウトするってあまりないんだよ。 どうして君は誘われたのだと思う？
さあ、見当もつかないけど、本人に聞くしかないんじゃない？
そうしたいのは山々なんだけどね。君の成績見せてもらってさ、こう言っちゃなんだけど、ちょっとわからなかったんだよね。特別な理由でもあったんじゃないかと思って。
Like, hey, if there's a special reason, I have yet to know about it. I've decided. This guy's going on my crap list.
仮に理由があったとして、それがお前に関係あるのかな？
ああ、そうね。そりゃそうだ。
雑魚が一丁前にって思ってる？
いや、思ってないよ。
雑魚は雑魚なりに警戒するもんだ。だから理由は言わない。
あ、言わない宣言ってことはさ、言うに値する理由はあったって案に語ってない？
Yeah, strange tactic, Kotori. Let's see how this works.
それも言わない。少し人の言葉を読もうとしすぎだな。
That little retort of mine seems to have pissed off Mikuni.
あとさ、上から目線。それじゃ本音垂れ流して、腹の読み合いとか向いてないんじゃないの？
Oh, I say my piece and leave.
増票だよ、君は。
A pawn. Can't fire back. Because it's true. I can't even win against a girl in a sparring match. The two of us are facing each other. The other's got a knife in hand. Nagai is one of my teammates. Imamiya, Tennouji, Nishikyojo, and Nagai, the four of us. We're synonymous with the bottom four. Nagai is a pretty plain-looking girl. She looks like she'll spend all her time in the library. Even her actual ability is pretty boring. She's placed just above me in the physical fitness test, the booby prize, as they say. The knife has some real paint applied to the blade. That way, it's easy to tell who gets cut where. That's how we test our abilities. It's also one of the few ways for us to pass the time in these training camps. We play this little game countless times a day. It's like some kind of competition. The guy steps forward. A slash. With the flash of the knife, she tries to cut her opponent's limbs. Where she cuts won't be a fatal wound. Given that it's a knife fight, it's only normal to expect some injuries. However, we superhumans are a proud kind of people. If you want to win cleanly without any red lines on you, then you have to force them to give up. Interesting. Again, it's like, it's pretending like I have choices. I wonder, is this going to be one of those things where I can replay Terra and be able to make these choices? Or is it just taunting me? Making it like, oh, you know, choices are a thing, but we're not on a path that allows it. Don't back down. Alright, move. In a knife fight, you have to be prepared for some injuries. It's not the most elegant move, but there's no choice. Several red lines suddenly appear along my left hand. Us pawns have to try and win like the pawns we are, no matter how ugly things can get. It goes without saying, but it's the best to avoid a head-on knife fight in the first place. That's why this is nothing more than a game. After weathering my opponent's attacks, time to strike has come. I focus my consciousness. I don't know why it's even bothering. Right. This isn't my gut feeling. These intense flashes feel more like some kind of foresight. My instincts are telling me the right option, that's what it feels like. I move without hesitation. She completely misread my move. I can do this. It's not just about outwitting your opponent, momentum's also important. I immediately go on the offensive. Though her legs fumble about, Nagai barely manages to step back. I close the distance quick with a long stride. I switch my pivot leg over. Her left side's wide open. Laying the tip of the blade flat, I thrust it straight across. The guy's hand flashes. But it's not her knife hand, it's the other. My knife gets sliced in two. The guy's knife draws a diagonal red line clean across my chest. We fall together into a heap.
今のやばかった。
I should have won. I should have been able to clinch my first victory. But I lost. The very last second, something crazy happened. My knife got sliced in two and flew in the air. Both of us are just using dummy knives, not the real thing. So why did my knife get sliced? The cutting edge would have had been pretty darn sharp for that to happen.
長井、なんか刃物とか隠し持ってる？
She has trouble answering. I can connect the dots from there. It's always irregularities that disturb established theories. In this case, the irregularity would be a superhuman's unique skill. Superhumans can generally be classified into 3 types: hunters, cutters, and polluters. The difference manifests in the specialities. Hunters have the type of abilities geared for hunting, cutters for slicing things, and so on.
伐採系なんだ。
The guy comes clean and admits it. I guess she figured she couldn't keep it hidden anymore. A cutter type superhuman. Cutting. But with that action alone, some people devote themselves to pushing the absolute extremes of their ability and efficiency to make them impossible make the impossible possible. A cutter type superhuman can cut through steel plate with a knife alone. And of course, cutting doesn't just apply to that. Faced with organic enemies, their true value shines through. Humanity has chopped down trees and butchered prey that they've killed. It's a skill of extreme efficiency, manifest from the peak of the accumulation of all that knowledge. Cutter types are said to be the most adept at close quarters combat. I pull myself up. The guy remains laying on the ground.
バレちゃった。
そういやお前、射撃は下手だったな。
Anyone bad at marksmanship can't possibly be a hunter. The foundation of hunting is to be able to hit targets from a distance, whether they be with a bow or spear. And considering how long it takes for her to recover, she's not a polluter type either. Polluter types often have secondary ability that allows them to control their circulatory system.
まさかゴムナイフでこっちのナイフを切ったわけじゃないだろ。
Being a real knife to a fight would be foul play.
反則じゃないよ。切ったの。これだから。
She fans her fingers out. Her nails are cut short. Wait, she's grown them just a little, even sharpened them.
これで
The guy nods. Just because your nails are a little sharp doesn't mean they can cut through thick, hard rubber knife. But if anyone could do it, it's a superhuman, and a cutter type at that.
なるほどね。
ねえ、このこと人に。
言わないよ。言うやつもいない。
ありがとう。
それに、負けたのは俺だしな。
I lost entirely due to carelessness. If I'd been able to maintain my concentration just a little longer, the outcome would have been different. If only I'd constantly kept a variety of options in mind and continually thought about them no matter how tedious.
天王寺に負けたら、私最下位になる。
今回は勝ったじゃん。
ねえ、部活何やってた？
It's the first time she's ever asked me that.
いや、俺は子供の時からあれだったんで、部活とかは何も。
その噂マジなんだ。見栄で嘘ついてんのかと思ってた。
The guy tends to look away and mumble rather than talk. She's the complete opposite of Nishikyojo, who talks clearly and assertively. On the introverted side for a superhuman.
人と話すとき、嘘つく余裕なんてない。
そっちも苦労してそうだね。私はバレエやってた。小6くらいからジャンプ力が出てきて、すぐに垂直跳びの学校記録を塗り替えた。才能がある、バレエ向きだって言われた。けど、中学に上がって部活始めて、レギュラーになった途端、あいつらが来てさ、条件飲む代わりに、中学だけはそこを卒業させてもらったけど。
条件って、バレエ続けることか？
いや、できなかった。マネジに転校した。
That would suck, feeling like you had the talent to be able to be successful, that it would get, like it was the thing you were known for, people like probably were very excited, very encouraged by you, and then you're kind of forced to just step away.
マネジ、楽しかったか？
楽しいわけないじゃん。そんな気持ちのまま、ここに連れてこられたんだよ。
This world has failures and setbacks too. But what does failure mean to those of us who can't live in the wide open world? I never gave that much thought.
ダメ。動きが丸分かり。
Okay. I think we're going to stop here. We're in the training arc, but we've gotten pretty well immersed into all of it. And I think this is a decent place for us to kind of take a break and, you know, we can reassess later. So, like, a lot's happened. That's for sure. We're officially in Guardian now. I feels like we're not fully immersed yet, though. Like, they specifically are keeping information withheld. I'm guessing because either people are going to fail the program or, like, be kicked out. And instead of having to, like, you know, execute them for knowing too much, they keep them in the dark so that they can probably reintegrate into the world. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure how that would work, but it still is interesting. It'll be cool to see how this all goes and kind of how it all plays out. Again, it's really interesting how they keep, like, it was a theme of the last one too, where Kotoru's like, wow, I've got all this power, I've got to be very careful how I use it. And then he gets involved, and then he's like, oh, I'm actually kind of pathetic, aren't I? When it's not true, like, he can push things and get really strong, but, like, he has to sacrifice his humanity to do so, and it doesn't look like he's quite got to that level yet. I'm not sure if, like, it really, if he doesn't unlock his full potential capability of hitting the accelerator on himself until after the interaction with the key in the forest, which is going to happen in the future. But for now, I'm not sure what his limits really are. It sounds like his limits are pretty restrictive, but he also keeps implying that he hasn't really, like, let go of the brakes yet. So I'm really curious to see where he could have gone without that direct intervention from the key. Like, what were his caps and capabilities? Or was he really capable of all of that power that he eventually gets from the beginning? And the intervention that saved his life from the key was fairly minimal in that regard. Although, it's also, like, you gotta remember, he has blood manipulation, and then later he has aurora manipulation, but that's probably because it's a manifestation of his blood after he gets, you know, the graft that keeps him alive from the key, meaning that he's like essentially has aurora running through his veins rather than blood. So, like, his power and the manifestation he has didn't really change, but because his blood became infused with pure life essence, the aurora became the new manifestation of it. Anyway, enough about that. I'm just ranting. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I certainly enjoyed recording it. It's, like, again, not the most convenient time for me to be able to do this, but I'm really grateful I have the means to do it. And, you know, that's kind of how things are going to be. Like, life's getting busier, and when life gets busier, it means I'm going to be less available, which means I'm going to be recording in different times and pretty much whenever I can squeeze it in. And so I hope that doesn't affect the quality at all. I hope it's still enjoyable, that I still have, like, interesting stuff to say, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, especially if you feel like things are getting a little strange or if I sound different. It's always good to let me know. But regardless of that, I'm still enjoying the story. Freaking crazy. This place sucks, but, like, I get why it does. But man, I would not have done well in Guardian. I really wouldn't have. But I wouldn't have got there anyway. I'm too plain and normal to have ever had a power. Even if I lived in a world or universe where superpowers are real, it would never be me that got one, and that's okay. Anyway, thank you so much for being here, especially to the patrons and members who support me directly. Thank you so much. I don't deserve you all. I just hope I can make content that's worth, you know, keeping up with in your eyes. It means the world to me that you're willing to support me, and I hope I can continue to bring that value to you. But even if you're just watching and you've never supported me directly, that's perfectly fine. You are supporting me by watching the video, by leaving comments and all of that. It means so much to me, especially for a channel my size, so thank you so much. Every little bit helps, and it's always great to hear what your thoughts are, so please don't be shy. But until next video, watching me, ever see me next. I'll see you there.